course.
How are you?
No complaints.
Good. Going well? I gotta remember not to turn off that first. That's a problem. I'm having that same problem. So,
Well, we know why.
Bob, how's your time, retirement? Loving it?
Been good.
Little one's doing well?
Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
And Suzanne, your little ones, they're not so little. I know, I see these pictures. I'm like, oh, they are growing up.
Yeah. Well, my my baby is in 5th grade.
Is that Ash?
That's Levi. Megan's youngest.
Okay. Wow.
And our oldest is going on in August.
Wow.
And 3 of them are
Did you say
15, so they're all
no
doing,
on that?
they all have their learners.
It depends if they have everything that they're supposed to have, and it's good for what their stuff was, does it meet the requirements.
I'm serious.
What's a key?
Connor and Audrey, they both like.
So do you know
what
if they
do I
met
do
the
with
requirements
this?
or not?
No, because we just are doing it,
No, they're just used to.
that's why we take time to buy it, look and see if they're not requirements.
Oh my
Well, I
God.
thought you said it was due yesterday.
Wow.
It was due yesterday,
They drove
then we
really
opened
well,
it
but.
today,
Good.
talk about it, and like.
You want to get out of here? Let's get this thing going.
All right, sorry.
And see
All right.
if everything meets what the RFP said.
Okay.
All right, we'll call this meeting to order. It's now 11:07. First item on our agenda is the consent agenda for the March 20th, 2024 meeting minutes. I'll make a motion, we accept them as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments, questions, or notations? All right, all those in favor of accepting it, signify by sign of aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. On the old business, we have the financial reports in both the TIF and non-TIF districts. We also have the financial reports in Lexington Village. Not much has changed there. I did see that they did, now that we got the discretionary funds in full function, it is getting the full interest rate. The first month we had where there was no activity, there was nothing shown, so we didn't know if that was working, but it is working. I'll make a motion, we accept these as accepted. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion, questions? John Michael?
I don't have any.
Oh, my
Good job. You look good.
Let me write this down.
First time.
I didn't screw something up this week where you said have time to look at it. What does that mean exactly? All right. All those in favor of accepting those signify by sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, moving on to new business. I guess it's time for Bill Cuppy. First on is Resolution 2024-322, which is the purchase at 916 Ray Street.
This is a property we've been talking about for months. 2 months ago, you approved the appraisals, so we went out and got 2 appraisals. They came in, we didn't care what they came in, to be honest. Our goal is to demo it. It's the house that's, the big blue house sitting there, adjoining to your property, then you have the event center. It's an eyesore, and anyway, we've had it and it fell through, we had it, it fell through. As of 2 days ago, the guy we're buying it from hasn't offered a purchase on Ash Street. So if that one closes, we close. So we were hoping it'd be Thursday. We had it all lined up with the title company for a Thursday closing. We needed to get approval today, and then, so I think we should move forward, like get a funding approval. I've got title work approval. I've got all that stuff. We got the appraisals. So now it's just waiting on this guy, and then we'll be able to buy it and demolish it. So I guess this step would be the funding to purchase. When we did the budget, we had a line item for this purpose. We even called it, we didn't come out and say it was 916 Ray Street, but we said the house there on by the event center.
Thanks to the
over it.
league.
And we have 150,000 in the budget for it. This would be 65,000. And I've seen preliminary title work with the credits and debits going back and forth. Our check would be under 65.5. So if you wanted to amend the 2,500 downward for the closing costs, we could, maybe to 1,000 to be safe.
Does that include the deed prep,
Yeah.
the 500, the 65.5?
Yeah, it would end up be I think our closing number was $65,200 and some dollars. It included title work, closing fee. We got a credit from him on taxes,
Okay.
which brought it down some.
Okay.
I don't want to take it too far down because then something happens.
So what do you plan on putting there? There's a $65,000 lot, it's not a big lot. Plus your tear down.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna have
We have,
80,000 to 85,000 in it?
mm-hmm,
Okay.
and that was the goal 2 months ago, that's what
Yep.
we knew we were going to pay 65, we just didn't know what it was going to appraise for. Actually appraised for 63 or something.
Right.
The initial goal right away is just to have it out of the way. The secondary goal is we've been working with KJG, which you approved for the whole strip, what it could look like, what should go there. The recommendation from them is a mixed-use development area there, commercial on the bottom, living floors 2 through 5, 2 through 4. We don't have anybody yet, we're too early into it. But if you don't have that particular property, you don't have the room for anything. We own the
Gotta
strip.
get the first property right.
Yeah, well, even if we don't get any more, which we would like to, even if we don't get any more, something could fit there now. Because we own the property next to it.
The
Right.
north, south, this kind of.
And we own all the property to the north along
North
the,
of it. So then that's my question is, and don't take this the wrong way,
yeah,
got too many parking lots in Logansport. That would be an expensive parking lot, so we need that to be developed, is what I'm saying.
yeah, we don't envision it, it won't be a parking lot.
Well,
We have all
but
the,
things change.
Yeah.
yeah, we have all the code requirements down there for their parking, the event center's parking.
I mean, I think it needs to take an inquiry, how much it costs, how big the land is, the land behind it wasn't part of that purchase. How much is this actual lot worth? So whoever does approach us, we have to figure immediately.
Yeah.
There's no second guessing.
I agree,
I don't know.
I agree.
There's just too many parking places.
The only additional parking that I could foresee in that whole development area would be the western portion of what used to be the coal plant. Because there's so much stuff underneath the ground again. The parking lot would be about all you can do there. That's the area we want the hotel, so it would need required parking anyway. We can't build over it. We've learned that from our experiences.
Down the street
Yeah.
there. So with your place there, 100% occupied, where will the people park?
Well, the lot we've got is approximately 150 lot, the lot that's been developed there now is approximately 150 parking spots.
But you will hold how many though?
It depends on the size of the event, but there's absolutely space for a good number of people. Depends on how many come in each car, and then what they'll do. But the point was that 150 should provide parking capacity for most of what goes on in that event center. That's a lot of, if you've got 2.5 people on average per car, you've got 150 cars, you've got a good number of people.
So you can put in writing, they no parking lot?
I think that there's every development that's gonna come west of there will come with parking.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
it has to
it'll
have
be
parking.
required, so there's no way you can say it's not gonna be parking, it's gonna be part of another development.
Not just a parking lot because we want a parking lot.
Right, it's gonna be tied to.
Development all requires parking, so if we do land a mixed-use development, yes, there'll be parking, because it's required.
Because we have something going on.
Correct, we're not just gonna put a parking lot in.
Right.
For one, we're all tired of the parking lot investment business anyway. So it's not like we want to do another parking lot, yeah.
And this thing with this house, it's ping pong back and forth like 6 or 7 times where, no, yes, we will, no, we won't, yes, we will, no, we won't. Back and forth, can't find a house, yes, we will, now we will, you know. And I think when you get a developer this serious to say, yeah, we got to try to buy that house sometime, and that person, you know, it's only going to get more expensive if somebody comes in and needs to have that spot. So I mean, the time is right to lay that down, and so that somebody can see that, yes, we are thinking ahead. We're spending money ahead to make sure we can get that corridor from the event center all the way down to 6th Street to be usable, I think. So I mean,
And I think it's more valuable empty than it would be with that house there.
Absolutely.
I mean, if we have a developer that we're actually gonna sell it to, you got a better chance getting 80 out of that lot than you would 80 out of that house.
Yeah. It opens up a lot of possibilities just because of how shallow it is there on the north side. You're limited
Gives
to
you
what's going to
access
go there.
To that north side then, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting you, Bill.
No, it's a good question.
Tired of parking lots, that's all.
We are too.
We're adding businesses for those parking lots, so. Second thought, let's just leave it 2,500 if that's
think so.
okay. I mean, if we don't spend it, we don't spend it, but I would hate for something weird to come up and then we gotta wait a month.
that makes our process easier because when it doesn't change, I will sign it after this meeting and then it'll go to Dwayne and then the Board of Works and just, otherwise we have to take a step backwards and rewrite and. All right, so I will make a motion to accept Resolution 2024-322, authorize the payment for the purchase of the property at 916 Race Street in the amount of $65,000 for the property and up to, but not to exceed $2,500 for all the closing costs on the property. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Mike, I'll just know, I am going to abstain.
Abstain, okay. All right. All those in favor signify by sign of aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. And one abstention. All right. Moving on to Resolution 2024-323. This is redesign. We just never can leave. It's like Hotel California. Redesigning of the lot curbing. We also ran into a snag with there was a hatch on the property that was not sized to handle traffic on top of it. And so we have to replace the hatch. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, twofold. Speaking of parking lots, Barry, here we are. The first was back when this started, you may or may not remember, there was a public outcry that our plans had the pillars coming out down there. And people lined up. And we then talked back then, what does that mean if we keep them? And if you keep them, you lose a couple parking spots. But our engineering layout design was out of whack now because the curbs change and things like that. So Crossroads, for a redesign, requested, I think it was $4,000 to redesign it. I had asked Rusty, is there any way that we can just have you redo this engineering-wise? And we don't need a sign-off from an engineer on this little spot here. So they were able to do it for additional work for $1,221. You'll notice there's a lot of work going down there. It's not ours, to the west of it. And Bob can, if you're still in the game, can correct me, but they've got some kind of a lift station, something going on down there that extends down to Ray Street. I think they're 25, 30, 40 feet underground for this. But anyway, they thought they may have to take out the pillar. Like, okay, well, at least it'll be on them, not us. But they don't have to. So here we are, the curbing's already done. Dykeman went through all that for the $1,221. That obviously wasn't in the original plans. The other is what Mike mentioned. It didn't used to be a parking lot, so they didn't need a traffic-rated hatch. My understanding, this gives LMU access for water valves. That'd be, right? So it wasn't in the plans. They didn't know about it, apparently. But now they have to buy this traffic-rated hatch so cars can drive over it. So that's the other piece of it. So those two aggregate-wise added up to these 9164.50. So that's the change order number 16 and change order number 17. I did look back. Good thing is, we're still under the second bid. And I did talk to that company. They said, yeah, we would have had all those changes too. So it would have incrementally been more expensive. So we're still under the second bid with these changes.
Where's that actual hatch?
On the, I'd say in the south central part,
Yeah, I've seen,
not too far from the new curbing, towards whatever drive that is, Denzel, Riverside.
Okay.
it's big. I mean, it's 6 foot long and 3 foot wide, or
It's actually in the lot,
Maybe
though.
4 foot.
Where they,
Yeah, it
where they
takes,
paved, or now they're,
I assume you just drive over them now?
they could.
What's that traffic rated? So yeah, it's probably like a big old manhole type thing. I don't, yeah. They're aware of it down there, obviously. And the parking lot's paved.
it is.
Supposed to have striping Monday. I think Monday is when the striping occurs. So, things are
I assume they
chugging
don't
along.
open it very often. It
No, I
doesn't
doubt it.
look like it has like a piece of rebar, like they got to hook something
I think they
fairly
use,
heavy.
they're
Shape
using
is
it more
It's
for,
like the pictures, which
Yes.
doesn't always happen.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'll make a motion to accept resolution 2024-323 with funds to redesign curbing near the existing pillars and to install a traffic-rated hatch for parking lot on the banks of the Eel River property, Logansport, Indiana, not to exceed $9,164.50, broken down to be $1,221 for redesign work, curbing, and $7,943.50 for a traffic hatch to be, a traffic dutied hatch to replace the one that was there. Is there a second?
second.
Any further discussion?
I'll abstain.
Abstain, okay. All right. All those in favor signify by sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes with one abstention.
Is this it, Bill?
Well, the parking lot's down, I don't know what it'd be. I'm not even gonna say that. Maybe. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
Okay. Moving on to resolution 2024-324.
You have my name, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can
I'm not
discuss
sure
it.
what that,
This
I
is,
understand what it is, but
yeah, this is,
Aaron's more of
Yeah.
the knowledge behind it.
this is basically, I'm gonna say, it's a confused mess. On all the properties we have, they were owned by the city, then they came to us, and I went down and talked to the people at the assessor's office, and they showed me it was on a list, blah, 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 blah. Somehow, I didn't think I needed to, but the way they discussed it, I didn't think I needed to fill out a Form 1103 or something like that. And it appears that all these properties, you see your exhibit here, $6, they all have small fees. I think that most of them are at Lexington Village. And then Chase Road's got some taxes on it also. So hopefully, we will, part of the process and parts of what I'm having Dwayne do is we need to do a better job. Most times, we're getting properties, then we're handing them off fairly quickly or whatever, but we now have, the Patriot Park, and we have the Jefferson Building, and we're getting properties that, again, from when I talked to the ladies originally, it was like, oh, it was a school before, so doesn't need to, it's already non-tax, and Lexington Village is owned by the city. Apparently, it must re-trigger itself into being, as soon as you sell it, it is another entity. So working with Aaron and Dwayne and stuff to get the form, so that every time we do this, that we get these forms out there and get it taken care of.
So just a quick side note, so Patriot and Jefferson have come to you guys, but everything has, and I don't know if we bought those, yeah, we bought last year. So all of them missed the end of March deadline to get the paperwork in, so you'll still pay this year's next year as well, but then after that, you won't have any. Just as a
So,
Is there an appeal process that's gonna happen? I mean,
No,
I
so
think,
the appeal
I
is
asked
only
that.
On the assessment part of it, is when I feel a.
That's what I asked Bill when it came
Yeah.
up, was can't we
government to
review?
government, I understand there's forms.
yeah.
I will say that county
I
has,
agree.
I will say that county redevelopment has bought property and they didn't even know they had to do that until after they got their first tax bill. So
They pay
it's, yes, they paid it and then now they do all the paperwork. So it's not like the city's been different than the county, that's just, I guess, how it goes. I
It
think
seems
all
pretty-
of us assumed it was a city board in essence, so that you wouldn't have to, but.
Yeah. Well, at the time I went and talked to him, I said, how do you know? I think it was Lexington, or how do you know that that's changed hands and, it went to us and it shouldn't be? And they act like, oh, yeah, we know that, so they discussed it in a manner, again, I wasn't talking to the chief assessor, I was talking to some of the folks in the trenches there. But, it's saying, it seems kind of nuts, common sense wise, that if it goes from a government property to another government entity, it seems to me like that's a little crazy that it would actually re-trigger itself to become taxable again, to be billed to the government entity, that's the second government entity. But anyway, I say, you can't fight City Hall. So anyway, we've got, basically this motion cleans up this portion, and as Aaron said, we will have some things that will hit for next year, since you worked for the previous year on property taxes. So I'll make a motion that
Hey,
we.
Mike. Just for clarification, so everybody knows, this is spring tax only. When I wrote that resolution, I wrote it only for spring in case, like with Lexington, you start selling properties off or giving them off, they'll come off of this list, and I didn't want to pay taxes on something we weren't going to have. So
Right.
I wrote this only, so we'll, again, in October, we'll have a resolution for anything we haven't sold off to adjust for,
Yeah.
just so everybody's aware of that.
Yeah, I guess the only major one is really is the Chase Road is 921, of the $1,300, 921 is Chase Road, which was a property, it was a privately owned property at that time. And again, depending on how, when you do closing, sometimes they'll include taxes in the closing and sometimes not, or whatever. But anyway, so, all right. I'll make a motion, we accept resolution 2024-324, authorizing the county property tax payment for the spring of 2024 for property owned by the Logansport Redevelopment Commission. And it is in the amount of $1,336.50. It will come from the discretionary fund, number 422/ 4479. So that's going to come from our fund that was funded by taxes, because this, again, these are all things that are not,
And our cash rent will be coming in July.
Yes.
Or April.
And that was like
April,
$11,000 last year, so.
$11,000. So,
Yeah.
anyway, it'll help pay for this.
Right. So, and then there again, it's good to have that discretionary fund for this kind of purpose, as far as Baker Tilly, or not Baker Tilly, the State Board of Accounts and their audit stuff, so. All right, is there a second for this?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion, comments, questioning common sense, any of that kind of stuff? All right, all those in favor signify by a sign of aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. The motion passes. All right, resolution 2024-325 is the Lexington Village utility tap fees.
Here we have our agreement, which you guys approved. We have where RDC will pay tap fees. And the whole thought behind that is it's not passed on to, obviously, building homes are expensive right now. So if you have a developer or whatever, Shepler, that's not a line item that just keeps it pushed down to the consumer because we're worried about appraisals and things like that. So that's out there. I had a meeting with Greg Toth, Jackson, Cameron, Brad. I think that's all that was there on, is there any way to bring those down? I've been told they've developed a new schedule for subdivisions, which is less than the typical. Because the number I was being told was, this is off the top, this is a year ago,
Yeah.
like $2,400, $2,300, something like that. So it is less. The electrical piece, $650 and $1,000 for water. I don't recommend prepaying any of this. There's thoughts of if you prepay it, then you lock in the price. But I don't know if we're gonna build 52 homes. I mean,
Right.
I'd hate to cut a check for $85,000 and we only build 33 homes. So I think the thought here is that's the numbers. That's what we can, as they come due, we pay them because we're signing the applications, the permits. We pay LMU directly. So we got to come up with a system where the first step is we have the money approved. Second step is when they call and pull a permit, I need to go down there and pay it. So I'm not sure how that'll look from the clerk treasurer's office, but I guess the first step is our agreement says we will pay it. Now we know actual numbers, and these are the numbers.
So how much did we pay for the system to go through there? For the drainage system to go through? How much did we pay?
The drainage, the water system is included in the contract. You won't remember that. F&K, it was in their overall bid.
I understand.
I don't remember the number for
Oh, then we paid for that, correct?
the water system, correct? Yes.
Through the
So my question is, now we're gonna pay to get into that system too.
That's what is being presented to me, yes.
So at the end of the day, what does LMU have in this at the end of the day? Money.
I'm sure it's a money-making venture for, I would
No,
guess.
I'm-
They've got cost of goods
I
and
know.
they put those things in the ground and it was part of a contract and,
No, we paid for that.
I know, we
Go
paid
ahead.
for it. I mean, but they,
Now
that's
we're
what they
gonna-
have in
Now
there.
we're gonna pay
It's
for
gonna
it
be a
being
money-making.
tapped into it. That's why I'm asking, what is the infrastructure cost for LMU?
Well, I wouldn't know. I don't imagine
there's-
anything.
Out there's one.
Wow, that's amazing.
And I would guess on these numbers here, there's a breakdown of materials and labor. I don't know the breakdown.
I mean, I understand it costs, LMU has to pay the guys to go out there and do the work, I get that. But they're not actually paying the guys, we're actually
Right.
paying the guys. And we also actually paid for the system to be in there, so at the end of the day, LMU's getting paid. I just don't understand. I would love to open up a business and not pay anything for it and make money every day. That's what I'm getting to.
I understand your point. I think a condition of this deal is RDC, there's been some ancillary things RDC's paid for, but the overall $3.2 million of the project wasn't paid by RDC. It was paid by, half of it was a bond of future property owners, and the other half was ready money. So I get what you're saying. Somebody's paid it.
And LMU wasn't.
No, LMU.
That's what I'm saying.
Unless,
I mean, I would love to, I mean, I think at the end of the day, LMU is gonna be extremely beneficial from
I
it.
agree with you.
You're talking about 54 units that they didn't have before, and the cost of having utilities in Logansport right now is not the cheapest. We may be cheaper than everybody else, but we're still not cheap. So at the end of the day, LMU's coming out on top, so I don't understand why there's even a tap fee. That's what I'm getting to. And I think that should be negotiable.
all I can say is I met with them, I expressed some of that. It got lessened, and that's where I'm at.
Yeah, we had this conversation. I mean, we
Yeah.
had this exact conversation, and Bill went to their board. I mean, didn't you even?
Went to their, Greg and his
his-
Brad now, and.
Oh, I thought you actually went in front of their.
I didn't go to the board.
Oh, I thought you did. But yeah, we talked about it. 'Cause I mean, I agree. They're going to be the beneficiary long term, and he's told us before the only way they make money is by adding rooftops. And so it'd be we're helping that happen. But we're still
helping.
yeah
They're not-
we're,
they're not
no, we're helping that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but I don't know what option we have either, other than passing it on to the homeowner, because I don't know that LU is going to absorb it. So if we don't, then the homeowner will. And that's
Well,
yeah.
Here's something I'll say on that, is that it probably does need to be, if utilities are going to play an active part in lessening costs, it probably does need to be a board-driven decision. I mean, Greg is gonna have his own opinion on it, and staff is gonna have his own opinion on it. But also, his board will question him if they just, waive these things willy-nilly every time we ask. So I think that it makes sense to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish, to not pass it on to the homeowner if we can avoid it. And approve this, you do it one time, after another, and maybe we can have some conversations with their board in the meantime, before some other houses are built there, before we incur the majority of these fees, that maybe there's a way to do it. But I think that probably a decision that has to come from the board.
I'm guessing they could put a performer together too. When these houses come online and we know we make this much margin on these things and this is how much it's going to be worth over 50 years, 100 years or whatever.
Just a 5 to 10 year period, what do we,
Right.
We would need educated on what LMU can even do. I mean, there might be some restrictions of, are they allowed to do X capital expenditures based on future revenues? There may be some restrictions there. I think there are. I've heard numbers from, it was Hartman at the time, there's like, they can only, I think it was like 3-year projected income of the new investments that they can invest in capital up front or something like that. I'm shooting from the hip here, but yeah, I mean, we approve it, we gotta get this first one going because they're ready to tap in, or they already did. And then we can work if it's board members or whatever approach we want to take.
It's at least worth having a conversation. Probably one more conversation.
yeah, because I mean, that's quite a bit of money. It's gonna be spent, and it's quite a bit of money that LMU is gonna make, so.
90.
I think overall, my experience is the environment with LU now is a much better partnership than it was 20 years ago. I had a house where HomeVest built up in my neighborhood. They went bankrupt. They'd already paid the tap fees. And when I went to build a house there, I had to pay the tap fees again. Back then I said, this is unfair because I've got proof the tap fees were paid. And they'd say, well, but they went bankrupt. That was 3 years ago or whatever. I mean, some crazy thing. And I just think, we have to kind of look at the whole picture here. They did forgive some money to us that we owed them when all the parking lot stuff gone crazy. They forgave, I think it was $150,000 that we had pledged to them or whatever. At the same time, that this whole project of going down to 6th Street, they have some properties there. If they wanted to, I felt like as if the administration not changed, and at one point Greg said something about we got to do the right thing, you can still have buildings sitting there. So, some of the stuff that has gone on came from them being visionary enough to say, this is what's best for the city. And I've seen, I can just see a few cases, and I understand what's fair, not fair. It's really hard, except the fact in this case too, their board's also going to decide whether it's I've already seen stuff out in the web about, if you move the utilities and maybe the street department stuff over to Water Street, which would make things much more efficient. I already saw somebody complain about the new kiosk because it's not drive up to it, well, they can do that. At Water Street, they could have a drive up paying your bill over there. But, for this economic development we're talking about, we really need to have clear path down to Sixth Street to get the whole potential bang for your buck. So we need them to partner there too, and I don't think we're in a position to say we're gonna, want to butt heads with you over something like this. If any developer came in, they would have some tap fee. It's nice they lowered the fee. I do understand exactly what you're saying, and I say is,
I can attempt another avenue. I attempted that one, I think it got lessened, but we want to continue different. Like Jacob mentioned, I'm willing to do that. So,
I say approve just one house, that's it. Go in front of the board, say, hey, that's what because if you, I don't know. That's just,
The problem is-
I pay a lot of utility bills, so,
how about much lesser of a number? Because I think we've got a couple more coming on board soon.
Problem period in this case was, they weren't supposed to be able to start building that house until that tap fee was done. They waived that because our meeting schedule did not fit to where we could vote to have that paid.
but to
So we
me,
need
if
to
you
have
build that
some,
infrastructure and you know where the houses are gonna be and you know where the lots are gonna be, you should already be ready to be tapped into. Simple, pretty simple.
right.
I've had to do it before, so I know
No,
I'm consistent tapping into something, so I just think that, I'm not a big LMU fan, so,
I had noticed that.
yeah. I love the guys that work for them, though.
How about,
I mean, I don't know, we're saying, we're taking up to a certain amount of money, so we're basically, it doesn't, if we only build half the houses, it's basically not greater than this amount of money. Now, obviously, if they raise those tap fees, I mean, you got one school that says, hey, we ought to pay it now because they're gonna raise that fee later. We have no proof that that's gonna happen, but it doesn't kill us to say up to this amount of money we've allocated and not need it. We can also go one house at a time, but we're gonna have to have special meetings to come in, and they gave us a favor this time because they started building before we, on our end, got the motion made to get that one, that one. And
Terry's saying do at
Right.
least that one. I got to be optimistic on before your next meeting. Let's say we have 4. So 4, for instance, up to 4. You don't have to do it. That'd be 2,600 on the water and 4,000 on the electrics. Or excuse me, 4,000 on the water and 26 on the electric side. So it'd be approval of 6,600 and not 85. 8.
Yeah.
And that gives us another month to kind of vet the system and see what we can.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. And just ask have one more question, one more conversation with the utilities board, and they may just say, this is all we can do, and then we have to decide how we're gonna proceed, but then we could say we had all the conversations we could, and we considered, here are our options. But it doesn't stop anything that's currently in the process or the 2 or 3 that might be in the works.
Yeah, definitely don't want to hold anything up, keep pushing forward.
We'll just determine who that is. I've got a slight conflict a little bit of pushing harder. I don't like going directly to board sometimes, but,
I mean, you can blame it on this.
we'll get a group
You
together.
can blame it on me, I don't mind.
We'll get a group together. Maybe Mike and I can meet with a couple of them. So if we could do, section 1 would be changed to 2,600. Section 2 would be 4,000. And that in essence is,
So then, Bill, are you saying that if you don't get it changed, then you want to come back and do another resolution for it then?
it gives us another month to see if we can do better. If not, I've got approval for up to 4 houses
Okay.
in the meantime, because we don't want to stop progress.
No, I'm with you. I'm just thinking that if you go ahead and approve it just the way it is, if you don't get it changed, it's already done, if you do get it changed, we just come back and amend it
I
then.
think the thoughts are, a lot of times we get something done and approved and it's in the background and we'll move forward. I think Perry's request or amendment or recommendation is to amend it downward, which will put it on top level of our mind that we need to do something.
Okay.
Whether either get more money down the road or have LMU do some waiving. So it'd be
What's the new number for section 2? 40?
just 4,000. You would have to change the last whereas too, because, well, not necessarily. It tells you what they think the total will be, then you just need to, if you just change the sections, it'll, it's self-explanatory, 2,600 and 4,000. The other question is if we want to use discretionary fund
Right.
versus infrastructure.
Yeah, and my main, I just asked Bill about that when I walked in, just, we've got funds in the discretionary fund right now, but it's, those could be depleted if we had the right number of requests come through. So if we were to spend $90,000 here, I mean, over the course of time, and we're gonna earn interest each month, we're adding, well, we haven't moved it over, but we're accruing interest, but if we get the right key building request or we get some of these items, we could go through $100,000 pretty quickly. And so I just don't know if
Well,
we
but
want
like,
to
if
use
you got
those.
key building, sidewalks, or facades, that would come out of the loan from the seated. It wouldn't come from discretionary, it'd come from, those programs are underneath the one with the city.
It's things that'll hit it,
Yeah.
that'll add up,
Revolving
like the
fund.
taxes.
The revolving fund.
Revolving
that's-
fund would cover those.
Separate from
maintenance.
It's separate, and then the discretionary fund is other separate stuff too. And we also could also keep some kind of an IOU list, because once these houses get built, a year from now, there will be property tax money coming in,
Right.
but it's gonna be a year from any time or a year or more from any time any house
Is
is
that,
built.
is that,
That form sign.
Yeah.
is that immediately then, or is that 1 year?
It's kind of like the deadlines that
It's-
Aaron mentioned.
yeah.
Once you exceed, March 1st, you then are pushing out to next year.
So it'll be.
So the seeded dollars are going into the non-revolving fund.
It goes to the non-revolving fund, and that covers key building,
Okay.
facades, and sidewalks.
The discretionary is only by
Discretionary funds for
interest,
stuff that is
funded by
that
interest.
is not in a TIF district, or things like, this case, it's kind of weird because it's,
Okay.
there is a a residential TIF district, but there's no funds available in that fund.
Right. And then the only other, I guess the other thing would be some of the maintenance items, Aaron.
It'll all be discretionary.
Those
That
would
all
be-
come out of
all be
discretionary. And right now, we don't have an idea of what that might cost us yet. It probably likely won't cost $15,000 a month, but there could be some cost. There'll be some cost, we just don't know what it is. Okay. So that was the reason I just
Yeah.
want to ask if this is best. If we lower it, it might
Right now.
not hit our infrastructure at the level it may have, our infrastructure budgeted line item.
I think at the levels that we're amending it to, it will not hurt to do discretionary.
Do discretionary.
At the lower number that we're talking about.
And John,
Currently discretionary is
the reason I listed it as discretionary when I wrote that up is the fact that you haven't got any tax money yet, per se, from out there. And theoretically, if it takes long enough, a couple, 3 years, you'll have tax income that could cover some of those fees if you needed to, and take it out of the Lexington residential TIF to cover that. But I wasn't sure, since it's a residential TIF, I wasn't sure where we're at with State Board of
Okay.
Accounts there in
Okay.
terms of what you should pay or what you shouldn't, because
Okay.
it's not in a TIF district, it's in the residential TIF district, which is
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
And that's when I was just trying to cover bases.
And even before, like, this whole thing of maintenance, we've not had a situation where the State Board of Accounts has said, no, you cannot maintain that residential TIF district. We did have them say, no, you can't maintain the trees in downtown Logansport.
With TIF dollars.
With TIF dollars.
But
So-
discretionary dollars.
Right, so it was kind of when we got the ruling before, is more about, and we bought the trees, and then everybody said, oh, then, it would take care of it. Well, the State Board said, no, you guys are supposed to be doing sewers, and you're paying for the initial purchase of whatever it is, not the ongoing maintenance. In a residential thing like this, I don't know how you can not
Yeah, I
have
think that's-
ongoing maintenance. I don't know how you can, you know,
That point's well
even
made.
that whole pond pool fence thing, you know, when this is all said and done, someone's got to maintain that area.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what's gonna be you know, it will still, at this point, we will still own that land. So is it up to us to continue to maintain that area? But then you'll be getting TIF money in for the residential TIF that would help cover that. So, you know,
When that was approved last month, did we pay that out of discretionary?
yes.
Okay. So, yeah.
Kind of just on the maintenance portion of it, there was a law change in redevelopment. I just know because I have the county stuff too. And it does have a portion of it for maintenance. I don't know how much of it, like, I don't know if it goes into lawn maintenance or maintenance of facilities put in, such as
Like
the
sewer lines,
But-
yeah.
But that might be something that you guys would want to look into. It was either last year, I think it was done last year, a change in the code to allow for maintenance and look in and see how far that goes. You would just need to change your plans for your districts to include maintenance then as part of your larger plan of what you would spend money on. Just something to look into.
Yeah.
I thought I'd bring it up.
Yeah, it's good
Yeah,
information.
I agree. Currently, we have $139,000 left in the discretionary fund.
Right.
Revolving fund has 193, so there's 193,000 sitting there waiting for the key program sidewalks and exterior improvement.
I kind of withdraw my question, really. I mean, I think the residential TIF is a good point. So I think it probably does. And knowing that the clarity around the revolving fund versus discretionary and how those are funded, I think it makes sense.
I think we'll know more, after we get our next audit, I think we'll know a lot more about what can and can't work. And I say, we could make some points, there's some other things we paid for at Lexington Village that were, you know, out of other funds in economic development type stuff, but.
Yeah. Yep, that's fine. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so I will make a motion, we amend Resolution 2024-325 in Section 1, change the amount of money there, the payment from $33,800 to $2,600, and in Section 2, change it from $52,000 to $4,000. Is there a second on that?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor of making the change to amendment to Resolution 2024-325, signify by a sign of aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay. Motion still passes. So that is a vote of 4-1.
Bob, do you just think it's going to be kind of a wasted effort, waste of time?
The Utility Service Board is there to do policy. So Greg has, Greg has he's charged to make sure that we don't lose money. That $650 for the electric, nowhere, it doesn't even cover the cost. I can tell you that right now. The $1,000, I don't know exactly how much that would cover the cost for materials only. Because that tap fee is not, it's not cheap. So I think that $650 and $1,000 is a cheap cost to put that stuff in. And you pay a utility bill and you're not paying anywhere near that, off that $650. Because, we're buying power. So you got that cost in there, so there's just a lot of costs go in. So it's gonna be 25-year payback, just even though you set that meter.
Got it.
So I think it's ridiculous that we would ask them to lower that any more than what they've done now.
Okay.
That's,
Yeah. Well, we just voted, but I mean,
Well, you've only voted for, you didn't vote.
You voted for the amendment.
I know, but I mean, with the thought, there was a reason, because we thought we were gonna have some maybe changed outcome based on another conversation, but.
yeah.
I went to the group I thought was appropriate to go to, which was the operational executive. as you mentioned.
Well, that's the group you needed to go to.
That's who I went to, that's who I discussed it with. I got it lowered, and they created a new subdivision thing I mentioned that wasn't out there, didn't exist. So that's why I brought it forward. I understand the comments, though, so I'm at your will of what you want me to do. If you want me to further the conversations with the board, I will.
I don't think you should change it. You know, I think go ahead and go forward. I'm just telling you that the board is there to make policy. That's their charge. And, you know, they don't get down into the weeds. That's why they pay a superintendent.
Well, and I just think this is slightly different than something that is gonna happen every day. It's a little more unique. We don't have 50 homes built every day.
Right.
And we're trying to do something that incentivizes people to build those homes because we're trying to keep it as low cost as possible for them, which is why when we're incurring the costs, but that is gonna stop us from doing something else. I don't know what it is, but it uses dollars.
I hope you all understand too that that tap fee for the water, that just taps the main to the meter. And it's gonna be up to either the construction company or the homeowner to pay to have wire, or pay to have pipe brought out to the
Curb, yeah.
to the, you know, the curb, yeah.
So that's what my question is, because I've done a lot of
Yeah,
this.
on the electric,
I've done
they'll take it all the way to the house.
Right, but with the water, I mean, they're gonna run it, the contractor's gonna have to run it from the house to
To the
the
meter
main.
pit.
And how much, you're saying that's extremely reasonable, and it's gonna take them 25 years to catch that back up. How much do they have for the contractor to tap into that line? I don't see a cost in that hardly at all. If that makes sense to you.
No, there's no cost in it for that. That's gonna be on the homeowner.
Homeowner.
Yeah.
So the cost to LMU is what for us to tap into that line? That line's already existing.
Yeah.
How much does it cost for us, for LMU, for us to tap into that line since we've already ran it from the house to that main?
I don't know what the cost of those are. There shouldn't be any cost. Once you pay that tap fee, then the contractor is responsible to bring the wire or the conduit out to the pit.
Both.
Yes,
Actually, both, yeah. So,
both.
what, even the wire, all you guys are doing is bring the wire in and connecting it. They've been to my places and they can do that in 1 hour.
Mhm.
I don't see how that cost is so expensive to LMU, is what you're telling me, that it's gonna take them 25 years to get that back.
Yeah, because it's a small portion. It's a very small portion of your utility bill. Very small.
Okay, I just wanted to understand what you were thinking, so
That's
I
fine.
appreciate it.
I would go on the record to say that I don't think we need to, I think we're kind of going to go there, but I'd go with Bob on this one. I don't think we need to go back and ask for a discount again. They gave us one discount, and to me, it's kind of like when you go to a car dealership and they give you a fee now for fluids and gloves and rags that they use on your car. There's a certain cost for LU to things that they do, and I guess me personally, I was in a meeting where they discussed lead pipes in Logansport, and Baker Tilly was there, and they said, hey, there's a program that you might go get some grant money for that, and Greg Toth wrote it down, chased it down, and we now have millions of dollars that was being, well, maybe it's not millions, but the amount of money that's done for that lead pipe program, people in Michigan are complaining about what happened, and they're thinking it's not fixed. Because LU did that, we are now going to have a better quality of water in this town. Is it, this is oranges and bananas, but I just think that, I just feel like the partnership that we're growing with them, we for our economic development, we need to continue to 6th Street and not be stopped by buildings that are still there. We need to, they forgave the money, they could have made us pay that money, even though there's all kind of junk under the surface. We could have been on the hook for that. So I guess from just a partnership view of this thing, I feel as if,
I think what I'm hearing is we have an approval for
Yeah.
money for 4 homes.
for tabs.
So, essentially, it sounds like, and this is your board, but it sounds like you need a separate vote, like a formal vote of if we want to negotiate it further or not. If the answer is going to be no, you don't, well, then we need to go backwards.
Back and approve it, yeah.
And re-vote on this, because there's
I
no
agree.
point. So I think you've already approved that 4-1, or whatever the number is. Now, probably bring up a vote on if you want me or a combination of us to go directly to the LMU board to negotiate this fee. And if the answer is no, then I won't. If the answer is yes, I will.
Well, I don't want to put a wrench in it. I'm just telling you how
I think,
that works.
I think
Yeah,
that's your vote. I understand your
should-
point, and
should
you sound like you're gonna vote that way, who knows? I don't want to go to a board and not understand my direct, am I supposed to or not?
Right. No, absolutely.
That's my only thought. So if you could vote on that, then we'll know what we're doing.
Okay, so we'll make a motion to put together a committee and go to LU and ask for a further reduction in tap fees for Lexington Village. Is there,
LU board or LU?
If the
Oh.
board doesn't have the right to do it, there's no reason to go ask them.
is that considered a policy? I mean, is that something that they would, does the board,
It's gonna depend on if their fees and their structure. is
Those
it
fees have been
policy
set.
or is it a procedure?
Those fees have been set. Those have been approved. Those have been approved by city council and the LU board. So those are all set.
I think it's a sign of how they collect money. You want to have water out there, so you pay one fee to run and have a pipe out there. And the way they collect money, they get the individuals, so the tap fees and what they pay. If you don't put a house on a lot, then you aren't paying
Yeah.
anything for that. You gotta have guys go out, look up, certify, approve, and do all that stuff in the field with the trucks and the whole 9 yards that gets into that. 'Cause I understand the structure.
Yeah, I think we understand the structure. I think the debate is they're gonna be earning future revenues and didn't have to put any capital for the main infrastructure, they didn't have to put capital into it.
So it sounds like it's like my board. So my board sends it to city council saying what they want to establish the fee as. And then from that fee, we can waive it, or the mayor can waive some fee for our permits. But it doesn't go back to my board to waive that fee. It would only go back to my board if we're changing that fee. For everyone, not just for the individual project.
Well, it's like we have the building permits and all that
Right,
kind of
that's what
stuff,
I'm
where
saying.
the city, yes, we have those policies in place for everybody that comes in to do things. But when we went and did the police station, we didn't charge ourselves the building permit. And what Bob said is exactly right. And Greg's job is to make sure that they don't lose money, and so if he's making decisions on his own, he's got to look in the best interest of the bottom line and, you know, future needs and all of that. The board, you know, there's a reason that we're not a dupe or some of these other utilities, that we have a board that is answerable to the elected officials in the community. So there's, you know, 3 from the mayor, 2 from the city council, and so that's where, you know, they would come in, and is it, you know, 80 grand make or break what the utility wants to do, you know, how much would they be losing on that? And so that's where, you know, we have a different setup than some utilities, and that, you know, the board and the organization in itself is answerable to the public. And so if somebody came in to do their own subdivision that we weren't involved in, then all of these things would make sense and probably count some of that. I don't know where the numbers come out, but I think that's where the board comes in as kind of a conduit for the relationship with city and the public.
There's mud.
You also, if they reduce it, then this whole thing, when we do Chase Davis, if you get an outside developer, the precedent has been set with this price for, you know, do we, if it wasn't our money, would we feel the same way if it's a developer coming out of Chicago or someplace? Would we say, no, they should pay less tap fees also?
No, absolutely. I mean, do you want development here or not? That's what it comes down to. And if LMU is gonna collect money off of an infrastructure that they had $0 in, I got a problem with that, because then I don't know. Maybe I'm the wrong guy to talk to, so. I have a lot of utility bills I pay every month. I know how much I pay, and it's a hell of a lot. A lot. So I mean, I'm gonna stand where I'm at.
We waived our building permit fees for the police station, but we didn't waive them for events. So precedent, when it comes to the integration of our organizations, doesn't bother me. You know, ultimately, precedent is whatever the majority on whatever board you're going before votes. You can rely on precedent, but it's not the be all.
I guess I was glad to see they dropped it to this level from where it was before, but. Okay, well, let's basically take a vote on whether we want to, I mean, we're going back to Greg Toth, is that who we're going back to?
I've already been there. I mean, I don't, I think you either, we've done that, so I think either if you think it needs to go to a board, then you vote yes or no to that.
I mean, I feel like, wouldn't the board, and maybe Greg does this, but wouldn't the board want to know, outside of policy and hiring and firing and budgets and things like that, wouldn't they want to know if they could play a role in in this level of development, encouraging it? And I don't know if they would pass an exception type fee schedule, or just provide feedback, which may or may not make Greg feel empowered or not, or I don't know, but it's, again, this is an exception. I don't think this is the everyday deal. I just think it's something different, and we're trying to all work together, and I appreciate that they waived $700, but I just think as a board, I don't know that that's outside of their purview entirely to hear the question. So, okay.
Well, if you want to negotiate with them, it probably makes more sense that we would say, we will pay half of that total fee or all the fee now. I mean, give them cash today versus all the 5 years. If we're going to get down and dirty, and, you know, if they say, we could do something like that, we could offer to pay, but I'm not sure we want to pay more money now either, because we all.
Or just, when we do the Chase and Davis, it's gonna be more houses out there, and we're coming back for more money from here. I just think that, let's get this thing settled in the right way and feel happy and good, and know that we are not crossing this hurdle again, we're good. Know what to expect and go with it. But I'm really weird about not spending money on an infrastructure and making money. And I guess it's because I'm a business owner, I know that for me to make money, I have to spend money. That's just the way it is. That should be every business. And I know that LMU now is a business. That's why the guy's here. So we don't lose money, so we can make money, so we can retain and keep going. But at the end of the day, we're not a profit center either.
Yeah. I mean, I think, to Bob's point though, and we don't know the specific numbers, but they'll have potentially, depending on the cost that they incurred, there is some money in. I don't know how it relates to the 650 and 1,000, but there could be something there, and depending on the breakdown and how those bills, what portion, every bill goes to pay administrative and, all the different costs. I mean, they do have some money. I don't know. I'm not, okay. Let's vote. I just say we just vote and move on. I know where I stand. I don't know if we'll just see where it comes out, and then and if we decide not to, then we'll go back and revise the first one.
Okay, so we're going to make a motion to go back to who? The board or to,
I'd say to the board, because you got more than just one individual. Who's gonna make that decision?
I agree.
I'd say we vote on if Bill's going to the board. Because you're gonna get the same answer from the individual, so it's a waste of his time. I don't wanna waste his time either.
well, if they hear you're involved, Terry, they might give us an extra because of all your business with them. You know, they don't want to piss you off. All right, so I
If you
guess.
want me to go, Bill, I can go, no problem.
We'll form somebody here. Okay.
All right, so we'll make a motion that we would go to the LU board and request a reduction in the current rate of $650 for electrical service and $1,000 for water service for the tap fees. All those in favor signify by a sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay, or aye. Aye. What did you say?
Aye.
Okay, so that, it's 3 against, 1, 2, 4.
Yep.
So that means we will just leave it as it is.
And then we need to go back and, we might as well go back and edit that last motion, resolution, because if it's not gonna change,
More
why?
stuff happens in a month. I mean, you could potentially, they could pick up on the conversation. I don't know, and maybe there'll be some stuff going on.
Okay.
I think I'd say don't change your vote, and then we'll see how it shakes. Worst case, we come back next month, we try for.
Ask for the rest. Okay.
This doesn't mean also that we can't,
You guys can talk to Greg. I mean,
also, we
you
start
wanna
getting
take-
some of these done.
If Greg's the proper conduit, based on your decision, that's where I've been, but if you want to continue that conversation individually, and
Yeah.
maybe you'll have a little more success than I did.
I doubt it. I mean, you have
We got a
good
month.
conversations with him. Yep, okay.
Yeah. And that, this doesn't necessarily end it all, because if all of a sudden we start getting requests, we now have, 40 houses in the pipe, to say to them, hey, this is gonna come to you quicker than we thought it was gonna come, would you consider giving us a lower fee? I mean,
But I feel like we're
Salespeople-
kind of saying that. I mean, we're saying we're in 5 to 7 years, we're gonna be bringing on 52 homes.
Not to complicate this, but this is today's prices too.
Right, no, I know.
We're here 12 months from now, and that'll stoke the fire a little bit if it goes up, but I've not been locked into any number. This is the number now. They said if I prepay it, they'll lock it in, but I don't want to prepay it.
And are those prices set annually?
No, those were changed about 3 years ago, and before that, it was probably 25 years.
Wow. So there's not a lot of history on those changes.
and this is a special price here from what their current
Because of this
book price is.
subdivision.
I've been told, I haven't seen the documentation of the new subdivision change. I've just been told that it came down, as you said, that's less than normal.
Yep.
But I haven't seen the verbiage behind it or anything like that. I've just been told that.
This works.
Okay, so Mike, you amended resolution 325, right? To 2,600 and 4,000 as the total. So now are you going to do a vote to accept that resolution as amended?
Okay.
Thought you did.
That's
thought we did.
that's where we're at right now. You have agreed to amend it. So
Okay,
if you're going with that amendment vote, then you need to accept the resolution.
okay. So now I'll make a motion for Resolution 2024-325, the amended version, which has $2,600 in Section 1 and $4,000 in Section 2, for the utility tap fees at Lexington Village.
We already
Is there-
voted on that.
No,
What?
we just-
You voted on the
We voted on
amendment, you didn't
changing
vote on the actual
amount, so
resolution.
now we have to vote on the actual resolution. So is there a second?
Second?
All right, so all in favor of the new resolution doing the $2,600 in Section 1 and $4,000 in Section 2 as the limits for the moment, signify by sign of aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Okay, okay. So once again, it passes the same vote as it was before. I'm not sure how to note this. I guess you'll get this, Dwayne. All right, so that passes. Okay, moving on to Resolution 2024-326.
All right. Okay, the brief history on this, because I know you're probably getting weary. The property at 709 North Street has and always has been owned by the Logansport Community School Corporation. Full disclosure, myself and Mike are both on that board. Over the years, they've talked about not wanting it. They use it for storage. Last year, they built a new storage facility behind the new school to replace the need for North Sixth Street. So I had heard that in the background. People call into my office and say, what kind of buildings you got in town? Do you have this available, this available, this available? And there was a couple calls that came in. I said, hey, the school's looking to unload the property, the old El Tipwell building, and they went to look at it. I said, there's a major roof issue. I don't know what the issue is. So they looked at it, nothing happened. Mr. Rosie, our school board attorney, it's pretty known that schools cannot give, sell, gift, whatever you want to call it, to private individuals as a school. All the school can do is gift or sell property to another government entity. That's why you have Jefferson Street. So we first have to make sure a charter school doesn't need it. That's the new rule. And the second rule is you have to give it to a government entity. So with that in mind, a few months ago, we drafted a resolution to gift it to RDC. RDC would have to accept it, but I told Mike, I don't want to add to your inventory. So what I had the school do is, you have to pay for all the expenses, title work, deed, 2 appraisals, all that stuff was paid for by the school. They passed a resolution to give it to RDC. Now RDC has to accept it. I have 2 individuals interested, but as you know, we can't just give it to people. If you accept it today, we got to go through the whole thing that we did last month with properties. So it'd have to be an RFP with a minimum bid as the appraised value. If I recall off the top of my head, the appraisals were crazy. One was 70, one was like 140. So we would have to set it out there, a minimum bid of whatever that number is. If nobody bids, we have the 30-day wait period. I can continue to work with these 2 groups or anybody else that's interested in the El Tipwell building on 6th Street. That's kind of where we're at, but I can't go anywhere until, if you accept it, to start the process. The appraisals are done, title work's on their expense, the deed. The resolution was sent to Mr. Lehman. I believe he's talked to Mr. Rosie.
Bill,
That's where we're at.
what's the, what's just generally, we get vacant property, where it's a lot, but how is it insured once it passes from the school to us? Is it on a city blanket policy? How's that work? Because I don't know that we own many
Everything would be-
facilities. We own like lots, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, you have, I would assume, since you're an arm of the city by purview of a board and commission, any and all that you own will get conveyed to the insurance provider.
Okay.
And go under their blanket.
Yeah,
So I don't know, beyond that, I don't know.
okay. No, I mean, if that's the situation, and then,
Notify the agent, and they then amend the policy, and at some point, they'll probably increase the cost of the insurance.
yeah. And that happens, somebody does that? I mean, somebody,
So I suppose
Yeah. As soon as, as soon as we take that, Mindy typically just message them, have the address.
okay,
Yeah, I think it'd be no different than when we were talking about putting a fence around the holding pond. We were worried about the
liability
liability,
of it, yeah,
and the liability falls back to the city, not
RDC,
on RDC.
okay.
As long as it's not a form that Mike has to fill out. we
Yeah.
should be Okay.
And then, so just generally it's secured I mean, the doors, I mean, it's locked up right now, and, I mean, just trying to think
Yes,
of.
I was given, it's got overhead doors, it's got locks, it's got,
It does. I've been there.
yeah, I've got like
Locked up.
14 locks.
No one's gonna get in and fall off something or break, okay.
The issue, you know, the current zoning is neighborhood business, so that kind of restricts some of what can be done there. Maybe
Okay.
a small commercial business could go down there.
Okay.
If for whatever reason, any of these interested parties have a grander need, then we would have to go through the whole zoning process.
Okay. Thanks.
I tried to get it to a point where you're not gonna be having a property. You're gonna have it a little while, because we have to do the advertisement and then the potential 30-day wait.
Right.
It's just an awkward building where it sits. There's not parking. There's doors, but they're hard to get into. I know there's a roof issue.
It's not a bad building, though. I like it quite a bit.
There you go. Yeah. Okay.
I have had one person in the public say they feel we should make sure that when we do sell it to the final person, that we consider all the work that's going on down by the river to try to say what facade things are gonna happen there, which I guess is more Aaron's area than ours, but I was worried that, you know, that if they just buy it as a warehouse and don't touch anything, that maybe it needs to have a spruce and sparkle on the outside, but which they could apply for our facade program, and we would pay part of that then, or whatever, so.
Yeah. As long as we don't have to put a roof on or something like that. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, the people I'm talking to fall through. I mean, I don't want to paint it like this is a perfect picture.
right.
Or somebody that bids isn't them. And then, but you guys can approve any and all bids ultimately. Just because somebody bids 100,000, you don't have to accept it. If you don't like the idea, the purpose.
Yeah, okay.
So there's risk, and I don't want to make it sound like.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, what happens if no one comes in with the bid that's, if someone comes in with the bid that's under the appraised value?
You, technically, they didn't comply with the RFP.
And then we're
You
stuck.
have to wait 30 days, and then you can give it away. But you have to have a public bid process of a minimum bid of X. So actually, if they bid less, it's a nothing bid. It's
Okay.
technically, it's just a resource that you can call 30 days from now.
Right.
So but you got 30 days for that to go up to the price that you're asking for, appraised value. And then you have a waiting time after that, which is what, 30 days again?
If they don't.
And then after that 30 days is over, then you can put it out for bid?
No, the advertisement goes out, I believe it's 15 days, 14, 15 days. That's when, then your next meeting, you have these sealed bids. If you don't have any bids, your 30 days starts. If I get no bids after those 15 days, your 30 days start. Day 31, which we did at the event center, we then can negotiate with anybody and you can give it away. Or you can pay somebody to take it. Depends on how bad the roof is.
I think, you know, when we open up here soon, you'll take an advisement, but if, let's say, it doesn't meet the district that it's in, or it's not what the redevelopment wants to see on the site, or they bid lower, you can always deny or not accept that bid. So then you have the 30 days to wait, and then you can work with someone else.
At that point, that group, if they're denied, has the same
Right.
technical chance as anybody
Like you could say,
through like an
After the
interview
30
interview
days.
process.
Yeah.
we want only single family, you did duplexes, or whatever, you could- and then they could submit back to you. But it's working with them instead of just through the bidding process.
Yeah.
Okay.
How long that we accept the ownership of it?
Right,
Correct.
this resolution.
Correct. And
All right.
then,
And then I need to probably step out of it because I want the building, so.
okay, and as a caveat of the, after you accept, if you accept, maybe give clearance for Mike to work with me on the RFP, so we don't have to wait another month to get that out.
Let's do first things first. So let's look at now Resolution 2024-326. I make a motion that we accept the proposal from the City of Logansport Community School Corporation. In your attachments, you've got the quitclaim deed that they prepared. I have signed that, I have signed that as a school board president. Sorry.
That's what confusing.
Yeah, and so that's been signed, that is now basically into us, so it's up to us now to accept that property from them. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? I've also in your packet included a letter from Kelly about what's going on. I have also a copy of the actual resolution the school corporation has, which is probably not necessary. And also just the information they pulled together when they put their resolution together to give it to us. And I don't know what, we have to record this at some point, so I wasn't sure if we needed to have all that stuff in the recording, or I'm not a recording expert here. But anyway, so that's all there. All those in favor signify by a sign of aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Can I ask one more question, Bill? I know you're, so just utilities and things like that. And so once this is transferred, and we're gonna have utility bills to pay, because there'll be monthly stormwater bills and,
Like buying a house. I mean,
so, I mean, we are incurring some costs, even if it's for 45 days, but it could be longer. So I don't know what those utilities look like on a monthly basis, and then will we have property taxes for any period of time?
Shouldn't, because the school doesn't
but-
get charged property taxes, so as long as when you transfer over, you fill out that form, you won't have property taxes.
So somebody has to remember to fill that form out.
It's in there. I already sent it over.
Okay. I'm just thinking because
Form,
it's,
it's
I
not,
sent the form over,
not
I
completed
didn't fill
form.
it out, but I sent it over.
because right now the school's paying those utility
it's
costs.
almost like a system we need,
Yeah, we do.
we need a, I don't know, I have a system, like for some things, but
Yeah.
not this particular. It needs, his first thing you do, you fill out this form, you record that, and then it moves it there, and then you contact the insurance company, and you,
Right.
LMU needs contacted,
Right.
because schools don't get the bills, and
Right.
change the locks, and all these other things.
Well, I agree with
Does
you.
it have power?
And I can't even keep
I don't think it's power.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
it's-
I was gonna
Oh,
say,
if it
because,
doesn't,
see,
that'll
what
be
you could go in and turn off the electric, not have any charges there. You're not gonna turn off the stormwater.
Right, that one will have
You'll still have that.
100 or 200 bucks a month or
Yeah.
something. Okay, thanks, Bill.
Thanks.
Okay. Moving on now to the bid opening. First bid, we got from one vendor. And I'm not sure how, you're interested in this also, Perry, right?
What's that?
You're interested in the properties, Tangy Street and Wheatland Avenue?
I'm interested in both of them, but I'm talking to my daughter at this time, and she thought the deadline was Friday, and so that's why I've been talking to you.
So we just need to read what these are, take them under advisement, then we'll review and then either approve based off they have everything that was required, or if you don't want to
Right.
approve based off it wasn't what you want to see at that location, or if they didn't want to pay the cost, you can also deny it. So I would just take it, open them up,
Right.
say we have a bid for this property from these people,
Right.
this property from these people, and then take it under advisement, and then at the next meeting, either approve or deny based off if they meet all the stipulations. for
Got it.
the
Right.
requirements.
So what I thought I would do is scan these and give these to all the board members to review that. I didn't know if it's fair to give Perry, I mean, I guess at this point in time, you've
Because
not.
we're actually interested in both properties, so
I would recommend, I don't know.
Kelly? Love you, Aaron. Kelly?
It's supposed to be open at a public meeting for you.
That's-
It's hard.
Yeah.
Public notice.
Okay.
But the whole document, isn't that the whole document? I guess it's public,
Yeah, I think it's a public meeting.
at this point, it's public.
Okay. Okay. So we have, let's say, there's one bid each for the Jefferson Street Tangy property, is also one for Patriot Park property. Looking through here, I'm not seeing their bid offhand, so let's look at Wheatland first. They have provided plot plans, they've provided house drawings of what they'd like to put on these. Let's say, let's hope I can find a page that's got the numbers on it. I was hoping for a summary up front, but they don't have that. Oh, it's actually, could announce, these bids are from Matlock Realty Corporation and 528 Consulting LLC Partnership. And they're both, here, see if you can find a value that they're bidding a price. So we want to record the bid price.
Submitted and not wanted to pay, which would then pick it out and they approved, they were just letting you know what they'd like to do.
Oh, okay.
So that's why taking their advice is easier than.
So if we take another advice, we don't have to find the actual,
Well, you will,
Yeah.
or you approve or deny it.
Right,
We
right.
check to see if it has all the requirements.
But today we should say who and how much, if we can discern
if we
it.
can find that.
But I'm wondering if
It says they have a
They submitted
competitive offer, but I don't see what
then
it
it put a
is.
bid in,
Do you?
just
No,
what
I
they.
haven't seen it at all
My
yet.
understanding, and I don't know if it's in there, my understanding was that there was something in there about offering for appraised value. And I
Okay.
don't know
Oh,
how that's determined, if we did appraisals prior to this.
Yeah, there was, so we did the average on the RFP.
Yeah, I don't know where that is. That's what I was told.
Okay.
Which is,
So that was my understanding from a couple of meetings ago, because my daughter asked me about it.
Right, so you would have.
And I said that this appraised for this, and if nobody buys it within this amount of period, then they
I've heard of
have to
them,
wait.
but I'm not
Right, so
sure.
for
Well, all
the-
that took us into May.
So the RFP, if they typically would have to do the appraisal that was put in the RFP. So that language might be in there somewhere. We have to look at it, so if you don't, I
Sure
guess,
doesn't make it easy to
I'm not
find.
seeing
I
it.
would just open and say, we have bids from these people for each one, and then take an advisement to look at how.
Yeah, I don't see the amount.
I don't
So
either.
when would you be open to other bids then? Or is it done?
after.
Because again, I thought we were going into
If
May.
they meet all the requirements and they're going to pay the minimum that's required, you guys can approve it or deny it. If you approve it, it's done. You would deny it only because
Oh, well, that's the
you didn't want
project.
the type
Yeah, I
of
saw that.
project.
I don't,
That's
that doesn't mean.
Because they don't even
that
qualify if they don't put a bid in there that meets the minimum threshold.
I don't see where it says it's going in.
And so if we take it under advisement, Aaron, then we come back next month and we make a decision, and then if we deny both, then 30 days starts from there.
Pass the denial.
I do see on,
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it starts when you open it, but.
Maybe 30 days from today.
Deny it, if they now.
yeah, I think.
30 days from today, then.
I don't see that, but
That's my
I think we can at least give them some information. What they're
Well,
bidding, what they
Yeah,
want to put
because-
on there.
When is our next meet? Like, there are 31 days in
Yeah, I
March,
don't know if
or
30
we're in
days is
April.
your next meeting or not, but.
We might hit it.
It'd be shortly, it'd be shortly thereafter.
Yeah, okay.
So, like I said, I would just state that who sent them in and what, for what properties, and then we'll take an advisement, make sure we pull our RFP stuff, and then from there.
Okay.
I did find some information on what they plan to do with the property. Would it be appropriate to mention that, like how many houses of different types, or do you want me to? Okay. Just from, this is for the Wheatland Avenue, which would be their riverfront property. They are proposing, they construct 8 single-family homes, each occupying its own lot. They will feature a minimum of 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, designed for an ample living space for families. On top of that, they also have 5 duplex units be built featuring 2 separate living units within the same building. They'll be designed to initially offer 1 bedroom, possibly updating to 2, 1 bathroom per unit, ideal for small families or couples. Then they will build triplex, 3 triplex buildings are planned for each housing unit, 3 individual units. These units will include efficient use of the space, with 1 bedroom possibly updating to 2, 1 bathroom for single families. They also will have a commercial space. Development will include 1 lot reserved for commercial use. The space will be approximately 10,000 square feet, accommodating the convenience store, cafe, and other community serving retail options. The commercial hub will also feature communal amenities, such as a small park and a community center, which will serve as a focal point for neighborhood gatherings and activities. That's kind of the overview. And then they have in here like the breakdown of the actual property, and they show, they have samples. They've got all the lots. They also then have sample building plans of what they'll put out, which ones are duplexes and.
At the end of the day, if you like the general concept, it was still have to go through planning, so if it doesn't meet density, doesn't have parking spaces, those type of things, it would still be tweaked from the bid.
Okay.
You're looking for.
I'm screwing all the pages.
Hey, Aaron,
If it ends up not allowing that.
Okay.
Hey,
Same
Aaron.
thing for these guys? Or-
Yeah, pretty much.
Aaron, can you come up to the table? Because I know I'm gonna have a heck of a time hearing you from back there, because you're sitting on the wrong side of the mic.
Nope.
Where Bill sits is where the mic's at, and I can hear him, but I can never hear you
Okay.
out there.
Yeah, so basically, if you like the general concept, obviously take an advisement, if you like the general concept, they would still have to meet all the requirements of the zoning district. So I would still be reviewing parking, access, density, setbacks, et cetera, et cetera. So even though that's what they're proposing right now, it might end up being, 6 homes with 2 triplexes or
Yeah,
whatever. But
right.
you're looking at the general concept.
Okay, and then on the Tangy Street, they are looking at proposing, same people, same Matlock Realty Corporation and 528 Consulting LLC partnership, same organization. On that property, residential units, each duplex unit will have 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a modern kitchen, living area totaling about 1,200 square feet per unit. Amenities will be development will include green spaces, a playground, and a community garden to enhance the living experience for residents. Sustainability features, high-efficiency HVAC systems, solar panels, and rainwater harvesting systems, which will be included to minimize environmental impact and reduce utility costs for residents. Community engagement prior to and during the development phase, we will hold community meetings to gather input and ensure the project aligns with local needs and expectations. Phase 1 construction of the first 4 duplex buildings within 4 to 5 months, targeting completion before 2025. Phase 2, following with the second set of 4 duplex buildings completed in another 4 to 5 months, ensuring the entire area is fully developed and operational within 1 year. So,
Just make sure you keep it together.
yeah, I will scan all this to you, so I guess I'll make a motion that we take the bids that were presented to us that we opened for advisement, and I will scan all this stuff and send it to you and to Perry also. I mean, it's
Yeah.
public information,
Public
so,
record, I guess.
yeah.
What's
so-
that again?
Well, I'll send you the same stuff too, even though you're interested, it's, it is public information, so it's not,
Right, now, so, Aaron, when you say we have to vote on this, so are we voting on that if they comply with what can be in that area, that's what we're voting on?
So you're voting
So
on,
basically
or
what-
accepting that bid, so that bid would be, one thing that you'd have to look at is make sure that it meets all the requirements of the RFP. And then second, part of that on whether or not you accept that as the bid, is whether or not that is, what you wanna see for the intent of the area.
for that particular area.
Yeah, so let's say that you don't want that many homes and you don't want any duplexes and triplexes on Patriot Park, you only wanted single family, you could say, no, we're not gonna accept this bid. Also, if they don't put the minimum requirement to buy the property or something else is not in there, you could say no to the bid. But if it meets all the requirements and you're fine with what the proposal is, you can accept it.
How are we gonna vote on this, Mike?
Well, we got to give it out to everybody first, and then we need to either probably get back together. I don't know if we want to wait till. I'm
That's
not
up to
sure.
you if you want to do it at your next meeting. That's typical for you guys, but, and then we can double check if at that meeting, then, you know, if
Right.
that meets the time frame that we have to wait or not.
The original, pardon my stupidity, I have no idea where the original RFP is at. Do we have all that? I mean, I'll get that
Yes.
from you to make sure that we have whatever we require. I mean, we start talking.
I'll review to make sure it meets the RFP, and then from there, you guys can
Right.
decide whether you not you want that type of project there.
Right, okay.
Is there a performance bond in that RFP?
I should have brought it, but I don't remember. Typically, there is a,
Bond, ability to have
Yeah,
a bond, I
so-
think usually.
I'll double check it.
So again, can she put a bid in or no?
So the bid, she wouldn't be putting in a bid at all. If she wants to be involved and we decide to not accept these as the bid, then we can see what her idea is and see if they come back with a different idea. And then you guys can work with, you know, 3 different groups and decide from that 3 different group. I mean, so it's not a bid process anymore. It's more of present your ideas and we'll pick which one we want to work with.
Because it maybe take one of those ideas, period, it just didn't qualify because of the dollar amount or
Right,
something else,
right.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, she'd come in at that point.
At that point, right. So it's not a bid anymore. After you would deny, let's say you would deny, then you just work with whoever's interested and say, we like this part of your project or this project or whoever they decide to work with from there. So,
Okay,
I would just basically say for her to lay out what her plan is for the area.
Easiest thing would have been to purchase the bid.
Yeah.
Well,
Now
she
it's-
thought it was, she thought it was fresh.
She was given the bid, the RFP, right? So
So, yeah,
now it's
but,
gotten
so she has it already and she just hadn't submitted it yet?
Yeah, well, yeah, and the thing is honestly, that's what I was just telling you, I thought it was in May. Because of 30 days and then a waiting period, we don't come with this and that, and I thought it was in May.
yeah, so to put for the bid, it was yesterday. If we didn't get any bids, we had to wait, and then it wouldn't be for another 30 days. But since we have a bidder, that's what we're looking at.
Okay. All right, next item is the bid opening for maintenance on all of our properties, meaning basically
What's
cutting
the-
grass, that kind of stuff. We have had no one
Let's
at this point that has, nothing to open.
Yeah, I did send it out to a couple different groups that we've used in the past. I am also getting a couple different companies that the city uses for some of their lots. So, with that, we can work with whoever after the 30 days and we can, I mean, on maintenance, I'm not even sure you have to wait the 30 days, but, I'll check into that. But we can, separate the properties, right? So we can have one group work on Jefferson, one work on Race Street, and one work on Lexington,
Yeah.
so. But I'll check into now that we didn't have any bidders, next step
Yeah.
on maintenance.
I haven't been by like Lexington or these others, but, how is it look? I mean, could we even wait 30 days? or is it
Lexington,
gonna be-
you could, some areas are seeded, but it's not too bad. I haven't looked at the other ones.
Okay,
I know that the park was willing to keep Patriot.
okay.
And maintain that. Jefferson is some grass, some parking lot.
Okay.
And then Race Street's gravel
So
and
you-
some grass.
So you know I mean, you'll be able to directly tell them what you want done.
I said in the bid that it has to meet our city code. However they get that done.
here's a good example. Nobody did.
Yeah.
Right,
So now, what you were speaking of, the 30 days,
we can make a decision after 30
Yeah,
days.
you
now
can,
they can come in with proposals that don't specifically meet for specs,
yeah.
as long as you do it based on city code and all that. It would be a random.
Like, there might have been people that didn't mind doing Jefferson and Race Street, but Lexington was too
Yeah,
big
they
for them,
didn't.
so they didn't want to bid, you know?
So yeah, that's my question.
Where yours is going different than you thought is somebody bid.
Yeah.
That's the risk of not bidding is somebody bid. If it checks out, they get it. On this, nobody bid. Now
It's open.
you could say, hey, I want to know me.
Because I have another part of a business that we do that too, so that's why I was asking.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's first make, I don't think we ever voted on the other two. So on the Jefferson School property, Tangy Street, and the Patriot Park, the first two bid openings, I'll make a motion we accept, take them on advisement, and that we will hopefully, I'll disperse the information and we can get back together at the next meeting, and/or if we call for a special session to try to sort it out. So will be my motion. Is there a second for that?
Second.
All right, any further discussion on those first two properties? All right, all those in favor of putting those on advisement? Under advisement. Sorry, it's getting along. All those in favor signify by sign of aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. On the maintenance property, I might suggest that we make a motion that in the meantime, until we find vendors that suit our purposes, that you give me authority to do whatever, you know, I mean, I have heard horror stories of where groups have contracted for things to be done, but then there was no rain, they didn't cut up, they still billed people. I have no idea, you know, so, or somebody's gonna ramrod this one to make sure that you're actually getting grass cut when it's supposed to be cut, or whatever. So, anyway, I guess I'd make a motion that you give me the authority to try to ramrod these properties until at such time that we find vendors and that sort of stuff.
That's going into that's the motion.
Yeah.
That's the official one.
Ramrod,
Work with people to make sure the property's meeting code.
been a ramrod,
you know, it's moments like this we realize when this is a non-paying board, it really, this is where it comes to pay off, right here, just the fun that's involved. Yeah, so a motion to basically let me act on behalf of this board for any decisions. If grass starts growing faster, we get things done, to try to get that done, and I say we'll continue to look for, you know, anybody that wants to, I mean, at this point, we're kind of open to take any bids from anybody about that stuff, and we can start to chase it down, so.
Yeah, I may have my group interested in that, so.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All those in favor signify by ramrodding. The ramrod motion resolution, all signify by sign of aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. The ramrod passes. Anything more, Bill and Aaron?
I don't have anything.
Okay.
Hey, Perry,
All right.
did you vote yea for both the last two, or did you abstain?
What's that again?
Did you vote yea for both those last two?
To go under advisement, right? That's what we voted for? To go under advisement to look at it.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you may have a problem voting for those.
Yeah, I probably have a problem voting for them, but,
Okay.
because I know we're the best, so.
All right. I think we're now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel like I need to take up this gonna go really quick today.
Hey, that's,
So much for that. Guess you're gonna go right my life. Start on the shotgun somewhere a little.
Yeah, I just don't want to get off. My problem is that
he never has a
Pass for another day.
I'm gonna say, I can't imagine it
last
can't
time.
be wetter.
By Aunt Melly.
And I was gonna go.